Hey, this is Rick Adams here with Jack Farris. This is our first podcast. We're going to talk about a lot of hockey and what's going on to the league today. Jack, say hello to the people here.
How you doing? Jack Farris here. Thanks for the intro, Rick. We're just rolling with this. Our first podcast. We're going to be talking hockey. Hopefully entertain you guys. No name yet. We will have one.
Yep.
Any of our loyal first-time listeners out there, if you come up with a name, you could definitely contact us. Let us know.
Absolutely. Give us some ideas. I love it.
Yep. But, we're two huge hockey fans, two ex-hockey players, still playing some beer league hockey, right? So,
that's right.
We love hockey. We're passionate about it. I like to think that I know a lot about it, so we just want to talk to you guys. If we could get some ideas, bounce some ideas off you guys. This is an exciting time of year to be a hockey fan. Playoffs are approaching.
Absolutely.
Every game is starting to matter more and more, right? So, we're going to be talking hockey. We're going to be talking a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
Every team, full transparent. I grew up a Ranger fan. Rick grew up an Islander fan, but I love, I got my favorite players that aren't on the Rangers. I follow the league through and through. So,
Yep.
There's no doubt. We're going to be touching on every team. So, whatever team you like, we're going to be talking about them.
Oh, we're going to be talking about a lot of things all over the league, every team, to the best of our knowledge at the end of the day. I mean, we follow it almost religiously. We do our thing. We do our thing. We've been following it for years. Like you said, we've been following it for many years, and we've been playing the game ourselves. So it's a beautiful thing. It's great that we're here doing this. We don't have a name yet, but listen, once we get it, we'll be full in effect, and let's just get right back into it. And
names not too important right now. We'll figure that out as it comes along.
Not a top priority because we're just letting it roll, letting it flow.
It's gonna be organic. It's gonna come out organically. Maybe we'll get help from our fans.
It's gonna be organic and natural. Let's talk about it. Health and safety. I could just edit this out. Don't worry. Listen, a button. No, I'm just kidding. Breaking the ice, getting the whole thing ready. So.
All right, so what are we jumping into? Because we got so much to talk about here. We got so many good teams to talk about. We got bad teams to talk about.
Yeah,
we got everything to talk about. I think where I'm starting is Colorado.
I like it.
Anyone I talk to, even if they're not a hockey fan, they talk about Colorado.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, Colorado's going to win the Cup.
Yep.
Now,
yep.
I don't disagree with that fully, but I don't think they're going to win the Cup. I don't think they're not my pick to win the Cup. It wouldn't shock me if they won the Cup.
I know.
But
yep.
I know they're an amazing team. I know they're good. I don't fully trust their goaltending. They're not my pick.
I believe it.
My actual pick will come out later in the show, but Colorado's not my pick. There are a lot of people's picks, but they're an interesting team because they have so many good players. I'm not a big believer in their goaltending. That's kind of what, turned me off to them winning the Cup. And maybe that'll come back to bite me in the ass if they win the Cup, and I'll be proven wrong. But that's the only thing keeping me away from picking Colorado like a lot of people are. I don't know about you, Rick.
Yeah, well, honestly, Jack, I mean, I've been saying it for the past couple of years. Maybe past 2 to 3 years, Colorado has always been on the map for me. I always picked them as the favorite to always win. I love McKinnon. I love Cale Makar, of course. I mean, that kid just skates like a figure skater out there. He really is. He's magnificent. I
try to replicate him in my beer league. It doesn't always work out so well, but I watch highlights of him.
One day. Keep practicing. That's it. That's all I can say. No, but seriously, Colorado is a great team, and I do agree with the goaltending situation. You got Phil Grubauer. Listen, these guys are pro level. They're obviously all great athletes. We all know this. It's no secret. But at that level, they sometimes just slip, is what I'll say. But I do think they have a great core. I mean, listen, the list goes on and on. You got Makar. You got McKinnon. Landeskog's out. Hopefully he returns. Not sure what the total injury is. I don't know if there's an update right now. You got Rantanen. I mean, Valerie Nichushkin even steps up to the plate, and he's solid.
Yeah. Well, what I think's going on with Landeskog is I think the coaching staff is smart, and they know Colorado's in the playoffs.
Right.
So why bring him back for the final 7 games, even if he can, quote-unquote, play? He may be able to play, but save him for the playoffs. Let him rest.
Yeah.
He's got he's got his long-term contract. He's a playoff player, Landeskog.
True.
He's going to be the difference maker in the playoffs. He plays hard, so they're letting him rest prior to the playoffs. I think that's the right move.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention is I really love the acquisition of Devin Tays a couple years back from the Islanders. I grew up as an Islander fan, but sad to see him go. But I love that for the guy himself. He's just really just playing great and fitting the role of that team. It really doesn't get much better than that. It's almost like it was a missing piece. Listen, he does his own. He fills the role perfectly. I can't even talk right now because I'm wasted. We'll cut that out. He fills the role perfectly, and like I said, he just does what he has to do. He does his job. As simple as that. And another guy who I have to say is just under the radar, outside of hardcore hockey fans, is Nazem Kadri. I think he's a great fit, great acquisition, and I'm excited to see them and how they play out in the playoffs. Just given the fact, if they could stay healthy along with McKinnon and Landeskog, if they both stay healthy, I know Landeskog is out right now, but if they all stay healthy, I could really see a cup run to the finals.
I agree.
Like you said, Jack, goaltending in the playoffs is going to be huge.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And that's going to go to my cup pick later on in the show. But, their blue line's mobile. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
Makar, Sam Girard,
Yep.
Devin Tays. Not to get off topic into different teams, but I think that was one of the biggest mistakes the Islanders made was letting Devin Tays go.
Yep. I was heartbroken.
He's unbelievable. They're mobile and they have big defensemen too. They have they have playoff defensemen that could play fucking hard and do the dirty work, and they have the guys that could do spinoramas at the blue line and do tape to tape passes. So
not to cut you off, but another kid I like is Bowen Byram, and I was a little sad when he was
concussion issues.
Yeah, concussion issues is right, man. That's a little scary, at such a young age. I mean, obviously, been playing the game his whole life and at an elite level and whatnot. That's, I when I first heard that, I was worried. I was like, man, that's a young kid. Had his hopes. He's already drafted and everything. He's on a great team, and
Stud.
For it to get cut short, that would be so sad. But I'm glad he's back and playing. That's an exciting guy. I'm looking forward to watching years to come.
If he stays healthy and he's on the left side of Makar, that could be a deadly
absolutely.
pairing, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Listen, I like Colorado a lot. I do. One of the reasons I like him so much is because that was the first big win I had on FanDuel when I came in first place. It's because I had Colorado before they were really good. So I got a little soft spot for them, but I just don't think they're going to win the cup if I had to pick. But
it's fair.
It might come back to bite Jack Farris in his ass. So who knows?
Hey, man, playoffs, you never know. It's a whole new season.
Very true.
That's what I say. Let's talk about Minnesota.
All right.
I like Minnesota.
Same division.
I really like, and I can't believe I didn't write this down. I really like the acquisition of Marc-Andre Fleury. I do.
Well, listen, he's a playoff goalie. The guy's won cups for Pittsburgh.
He's been there.
He's went far with Vegas. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He's made his money already.
Yep. Been there.
He wants to win.
Been there, done that.
And Minnesota is a weird team because there's some nights where I'm like, wow, these guys are unstoppable, but there's just something about them too. Kirill Kaprizov is a superstar, but I don't know. It's tough to explain. I'm sure Minnesota fans probably don't like me saying this, but they're not. For me, they don't have like a true superstar. Like you talk about the big teams that are gonna go far.
It's true.
Tampa, Colorado, like. Do you think Kaprizov is a legit superstar, like a McKinnon, a Kucherov, a Panarin, go down the list, Jonathan Huberdeau?
Well,
you know what I mean?
My opinion, I do think he is a superstar right now. I think he has proved it, but let's see the longevity and how much more he can do years to come. That's where I'm at, because at the end of the day, all these people that you've mentioned almost already established themselves, like the Huberdeau, Kucherov, Stamkos. All these guys, they already proved themselves. They proved their longevity into this year. It wasn't a one and done, a one hit wonder, and all that. So I do think that Kaprizov is a superstar in this league. I do believe that he is, and it's going to be interesting how it all plays out with Minnesota in the playoffs. I mean, they just have some, like I said again. Besides the hardcore hockey fans out there, I don't think guys really appreciate like Eriksson Ek.
Yeah.
You know,
they have
Hartman, Fiala.
I love Ryan Hartman.
Yeah.
I love Ryan Hartman.
Yeah, I have him in fantasy. Yeah. Great pickup.
Yeah, Ryan Hartman's a stud. I do, the way he plays, I love. Listen, they're gritty. They could play that nasty hockey where, like, you know, it's not all like fancy and glamorous. Like, they're getting in front of the net. They're fucking blocking shots. They're getting the greasy goals. Like, they could play that style of hockey, but they also have guys like Fiala and Kaprizov who are skilled. So, I think they'll get out of the first round for sure. But I'm just saying, like, you know, if they play, I mean, honestly, if I'm St. Louis, I'm not scared of Minnesota.
Yeah?
No, yeah,
you like that?
I'm picking St. Louis over Minnesota. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You trust Bennington and
Husso?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love Marc-Andre Fleury.
I do too.
And I think it'd be a great story if he went on to like win a cup. That'd be pretty damn cool,
great.
Especially after what Vegas did to him. But I'm just saying, if I'm St. Louis, I'm not scared of him. From Colorado, I don't think I'm scared of him either.
St. Louis is another great team, man. I mean, you got Robert Thomas, you got Tarasenko. Who else? You got Buchnevich, right, from the Rangers.
Robert Thomas has been on fire.
You got Saad, man. I mean, listen, that guy's a 20-goal scorer. I mean, what else could you ask for? You guys score 20 goals.
Well, listen, they have an underrated blue line. Torrey Krug is solid. He's an awesome puck mover.
Yep.
He plays bigger than he is.
Parayko, right?
Parayko, Justin Falk is very solid.
Yeah, Falk, wow.
They got those guys, Marco Scandella. They got Bertuzzo, who's a veteran, but like just Krug, Parayko, Falk alone.
Yup, those three. Great puck movers.
Great.
And that big body, Parayko, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it like you said, the offense, David Perron, every year, 30-goal scorer pretty much, right? I mean, Robert Thomas is on fire. Guy looks like Adam Oates. Like, he's just on a tear. He's got like 58 assists or something like that. Jordan Kyrou,
yeah.
Ryan O'Reilly's not
skater,
fancy. Man. He's not the sexy, like, you know, spinner. You know, he's just solid.
He's not
defensively.
The finesse
guy. He's a vet.
Yeah.
He plays the right way. He wins face-offs. He does all the right stuff. The stuff that people don't, you know, the average hockey fan doesn't notice. Tarasenko, remember when he wanted to get traded from St. Louis? He's been on fire. I don't think he really wants to get traded anymore. They don't want to trade him.
He's unreal.
Why would they trade him? He's been unreal. Buchnevich from the Rangers has been great.
Great acquisition, man. Seriously.
I mean, I think with St. Louis, they're going to be able to score. Their blue line I like. I think it's just going to come down to goaltending. Is Binnington going to be able to live up to the year they won the Cup? And look, they're battle tested. They won a Cup.
Yep.
That's the thing. They won a Cup, so they're battle tested. That's why I trust them, and that's why if they're playing Minnesota and I'm St. Louis, I'm not scared of Minnesota because they're battle tested. Minnesota's not.
You know, I like that actually. I like that a lot because that core group, you know, besides the acquisitions they have made, that core group has been there. So I actually like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Brandon Saad, he won a Cup with Chicago. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think they're battle tested.
Yeah.
And I think they got enough young guys to mix in with the vets that it's just like a nice thing they got going on there.
Yeah. I don't think they get mentioned enough. I don't know if you said that earlier, but I think
they don't. Yeah, I mean, listen,
they're under the radar.
I think any of our listeners would know like who gets talked about the most: Toronto, Boston, probably the Rangers, Montreal,
Tampa, of course.
Yeah. Tampa because they've won 2 Cups in a row. And
they might three-peat. You don't know until the time gets here.
Absolutely.
You know, bringing them up, it's like it's almost unreal. You know, even through the expansion draft, they lost Yanni Gordon, whatever. they could afford to lose guys like that, and they still remain on top, a lethal force.
Well, why is that? It's because they had Steve Yzerman as the GM for so long, and he
legend
used the draft so well and had such a good scouting staff that he had guys come into Syracuse in their farm system, and he just scouted the right way and made pick after pick, tons of picks, even in later rounds, and they did well. They hit on later round picks.
Yeah.
Look at the guy
deep
Ross,
in the draft. Yep.
Ross Colton. I
know.
don't. He was he a 4th or 5th round pick?
Something
Kid's
like
got like 50 points. They pull someone up from Syracuse and replace him. Look, they lost Barclay Goodrow. Goodrow's on my Rangers now, right?
Right.
Yanni Gord went to Seattle. Blake Coleman left. He went to Calgary. But what they do? They pull up Ross Colton. Now he's got like 50 points. They plug guys in, and then they go out and make the trade for Brandon Hagel, which was a smart deal.
I like that.
Sounds like a lot. 2 first-round picks. He's making $1.5 million for this year and 2 more years after this.
It's a good
So
deal.
they're gonna fit him in the cap.
Yep.
The guy scored. I think he's got 23 goals, and he plays like a prick. On top of that, that's what you need in the playoffs.
Absolutely, you need that grit. You need that grit.
I love Tampa, and I'll just say it now. I think if I had to, as much as I like other teams and I want my Rangers to win, if I had to put my money on anyone, how could you not say Tampa right now? How could you not say Tampa? Every
Listen.
position.
As an Islanders fan, I do have some some bitterness towards them, but just given the history of the league and whatnot, I would love to see a three-peat. That would be just... Who was the last team to do that? Like, I don't even know. We might have to pull that up right now, because I don't even know the history on that. Who was
Probably
the last
Montreal.
team? No, Montreal would be the Islanders in the 80s. In the early 80s.
Okay.
Who was the last team? Maybe Calgary? Did they...
No, I think you're right. It might be the Islanders.
We're going to look that up right now, folks. We're going to look that up right now, right this second. Live look up.
Something tells me. I mean, it's like, for me, for some reason, I feel like it's Tampa or St. Louis, and I don't know why. And a lot of people will probably give me, think I'm crazy for not saying Colorado because of how good they are. And I don't know what it is about Colorado. I just can't pick them yet. I think they're good. McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog is a nasty line, but...
Now, listen. Colorado, like I said earlier when we brought them up, Colorado for the past 2 to 3 years, they have been my favorite. And they're a better team than they were those 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 years ago, times when I did pick them as my favorite. When I did my little NHL app bracket. They're a better team now than they ever were. So, with that being said, I mean, just like how you brought up their goaltending, like that's the biggest thing in the playoffs. And you could say, oh, well, that's the biggest thing in the regular season. Yeah, it is. But when you make the postseason, does your goalie still play to that capability during the regular season to get you there? That's the whole thing. Do they burn out? Does the backup become better than the starter? You don't know until that time happens. Listen, some people are better under pressure than others.
I think that's why I like Tampa so much.
Yeah.
Is because they have the best goalie, in my opinion, in the league right now.
True.
And I'm not being biased. I think Shesterkin will be, but he's not yet. Vasilevsky's the best goalie right now in the league, I think. And it's not just Vasilevsky. I mean, their blue line, Victor Hedman, is one of the best defensemen in the NHL. He's unbelievable. You still have Ryan McDonough, who's still a very solid defenseman. Mikhail Sergachev is very, very good defenseman. He's probably only getting better. He's a young kid still. Their right side, I mean, you have Jan Ruda, who's been pretty solid for them. Cal Foote, young kid, he's been pretty damn solid for them. I mean, they have depth on the blue line too. So that's why it's, God forbid, Vasilevsky goes down with an injury for a couple games. I think they have a strong enough blue line where if they got to play Brian Elliott a game or two,
Yeah.
I trust it's like, listen, it's an unpredictable sport.
Absolutely.
That's 100%. But it's just, if there's going to be any team that would three-peat, I think it's Tampa, because based on what they lost, I think they were able to replace it.
Listen, to get back to you on that last team who was to three-peat, it was my New York Islanders back in the 80s, the early 80s. Rest in peace, Mike Bossy. But listen, that's a topic for another day, is the New York Islanders. But I think Tampa Bay does have a legitimate shot. And again, as long as their key players stay healthy, Stamkos, Kucherov. I know Kucherov has a hip issue. It's always on and off.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing about with Tampa is, like, if Point isn't going, Stamkos is.
Right.
Stamkos isn't,
Yep.
Point's going.
Yep.
And
That's so true. And we've seen it. We've seen it the past 2 years.
One of the
Seriously.
most underrated players, in my opinion, is Andre Palat. I mean, he's solid. He's really scores goals.
Yep.
He plays well defensively.
I like
he gets
that.
in front of the net. He digs out pucks, gets them to Stamkos, gets them to Kucherov. I mean, they're in cap. Every team that wins cups and is very successful runs into cap issues. It happens to every team. It happened to Chicago. It happened to Pittsburgh. They're running into the cap issues, but the GM of Tampa now, Julian Breezebaugh, has done an unbelievable job, in my opinion. He's giving up, he gave up 2 first-round picks for Brandon Hagel and Taylor Radish. But Hagel is young. He's on an amazing contract.
Absolutely.
Fits in their system. And he puts up a lot of points, and he plays like a prick. He goes and gets Nick Paul from Ottawa. I don't remember the exact return. It was Matthew Joseph and maybe a second or third round pick.
I think you're right.
To Ottawa. He's a big centerman, big boy. He could play some offense. Like, that's what they're trying to recreate, that Gord Coleman Goodrow line.
Yep.
And they've done a pretty good job with it, because now it's, you got your Ross Coltons, you got your Nick Paul, your Brandon Hagel. Hagel's locked up for another 2 years after this. Those first round picks, that they're going to be late first round picks for Tampa. Tampa's going deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So I think they're doing a good job. Based on, they have to deal with the salary cap, and they've done pretty good with managing the cap. So that's one of the reasons they're one of my favorites for sure.
I do agree. I think that Nick Paul acquisition is great. It's a big body, right in time for the playoffs. We all know it's going to be heavy hitting. It's a whole different sport, it's another season.
It gets nastier.
Yeah,
it's more desperate.
Nastier. Absolutely.
Your middle of January, February game is not the same as the game in the playoffs. You're putting your body on the line. That's why every team that goes deep in the playoffs, you see, they leave. They have a broken foot that they were playing with. They're playing with serious injuries because you're laying it all out. That's what it's for. It's championship. That's hockey players are tough dudes. That's how they roll. So
absolutely. One problem I think Tampa Bay is going to run into is their next door neighbor, the Florida Panthers. And I think the only downfall, and no disrespect to Bobrovsky, but I think their only downfall is going to be their goaltending.
Yep.
Just due to that Vasilevsky is that much better.
That's only, I love Florida.
I do too.
I think they're an amazing team. Barkov's probably, I don't even know if you could call the guy underrated anymore, because he makes like $10 million a year, but he's unbelievable.
Another guy under the radar. Another guy. Doesn't get enough credit.
No one talks about the Florida Panthers.
Nobody does.
Unless you're a real deal NHL fan. But,
right.
He's unbelievable. Huberdeau is a superstar.
I had him in fantasy. Filthy.
Unbelievable superstar.
Filthy.
Yeah, if the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup, it would not shock me one bit. Bobrovsky went on a run and stayed healthy, and it would not shock me one bit. They're an amazing team. Aaron Ekblad's an amazing right-hand defenseman. He's big, he can move the puck.
Did he come back from injury?
Yes.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think I'm 95% sure he's back.
Okay. I remember that was,
they have some depth on the blue line. They got the Brandon Montour. He can move the puck pretty well. Spencer Knight.
Yeah,
is in their system,
Yep.
and he's probably going to be a stud for sure. Yeah. So that's one upside of Florida is that if Bobrovsky goes down, they got Spencer Knight, which that's going to. That's the best backup goalie you could probably have right now.
I'm not sure how they're going to operate. I don't follow the Florida Panthers to a T to the point where I know their goalie rotation and whatnot.
Boston College, that's where Spencer Knight went.
Yeah. Great system. Like I said, I'm not sure if they're going to rotate for the playoffs. Listen, obviously you go with who is the hottest goalie, the hottest player in that moment, and you roll with it. I mean, majority of me watching hockey, that's how I see, and that's how I see things play out. Just from following the league and whatnot. Rightfully so. I mean, if there's a goalie that stops, let's in 2 goals a game, but you're winning 5-2, the first 2 games, you roll with your guy. Rightfully so. The thing I want to mention is, I love the acquisition of Claude Giroux for the Florida Panthers. I think he's a great fit. I think he's a centerman. He's an older vet. He's motivated. He wants to win that cup. Yep. I know. We all know he wants to win that cup. I mean, that's a guy who never won the cup. He's been there, I believe, against the Blackhawks, if I'm not mistaken.
He's had playoff success. He's with Philly forever. He's made all his money. He's
He's been there. He's been there, done that.
He's trying to win a cup. That's his next accolade.
Right. Next accolade. Exactly. I love that. No, it's so true. It's so true.
I love Florida. They get masked a little bit by Tampa because Tampa's won, but you're right. You're 100% right, Rick. I think if Florida, if they won, it would not shock me because they are good. I do, like I said, staying loyal to Tampa. I do think Vasilevsky is better than Bobrovsky, and that might be the difference maker. Because we all know in the playoffs it's small details that make a difference. But it's they're a good team. They have depth. You got guys like Duclair, Carter Verhaeghe, who used to be on Tampa's system, which shows how deep Tampa really was because he wasn't even really playing in Tampa back when they had Gord and all those guys.
Right.
So
you got Reinhart and Bennett too. They hold their own.
Sam Bennett, I like Sam Bennett a lot. I do. Yeah, he's they're good. I mean, it's so tough to tell right now. Obviously when we do our next podcast and we do we get more into the playoffs and the playoffs start.
Playoff matchups, yep.
It'll be a little easier to kind of gauge what's going on, but I mean, you can't count Florida out. They're unbelievable, and they're no joke. They got every position locked down. They got an elite defenseman, an elite centerman, an elite winger, and an elite goalie. Bobrovsky, I think, is an elite goalie. Just because he's not better than Vasilevsky doesn't mean he's not elite. He's a very good goalie.
True. Very true. Yeah, I mean, listen, these playoffs coming up, it's going to be really tough to count any of the teams out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe besides the Dallas Stars, maybe you can count them out.
I don't believe Dallas. I really don't.
The only wild cards that I can see going all the way is like Boston and the Capitals.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I mean, with Boston, it's all going to come down to Swayman if he could keep it up in the playoffs.
Very true. Very true.
They have a solid blue line. Their top line is great. I think where Boston falls short is when you're counting on guys like Charlie Coyle, Jake DeBrusk, stuff. Those guys, they're good players, but they're inconsistent. So if they go cold for 5 games, that could cost them a series.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, same thing with a guy like Hall. Is he going to step up to the plate during playoff season? Is he going to put in 4 goals in a 7-game series? Even if it's 4 points.
Yeah.
What is he going to do?
Yeah, I think when they had Tuukka Rask, it was a little more easier to kind of lean on him and be like, all right, he's a veteran goalie, we know he can win, we know how good he is. Now you're kind of you're depending on Jeremy Swayman, he's looked good, or Linus Ullmark, who he's looked pretty good too, but I just don't think they're elite goalies yet. Swayman might be. He's still young.
No,
it's tough to tell. I'm not trying to. You can't judge him too much yet, but you're really depending on Swayman to continuously do so well.
I think
in the playoffs where he's not battle tested, and neither is Linus Ullmark because he came from Buffalo. So so
I think talking about it before with going with the hot goalie, I think we're going to see Boston. I think that's the team that we're going to see most go with whoever is the hot goalie. I mean, listen, like you said, Swayman isn't a bad goaltender. Same thing with Ullmark. He's not. They're both not bad goaltenders. They're good on a good team.
It's just a gamble because they're not battle tested in the playoffs.
Exactly. Both young goalies battle tested in the playoffs, like you said.
That's really what it comes down to.
Another thing I want to talk about is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Another team that just does come up short, unfortunately, as good as their team is on paper. There's a reason why I use them in the game NHL. There's a reason why I love playing with them in NHL. I mean, between Matthews, Mikheyev, Tavares, Nylander. I mean, the list goes on and on. I love the acquisition of Giordano. I love it. It's a stay-at-home D-man, fits his role perfectly, does the thing that he has to do. Biggest question mark, and we were saying it before, Jack, is goaltending.
100%.
Peter Mrazek, what is it?
Peter Mrazek and Jack Campbell.
Yeah, Mrazek, he's hurt. I've seen a game live where when he was on Detroit against the Islanders, I saw the game live where I think he blew a 3 or 4 goal lead, and the Islanders came back and won it in overtime. And I believe Jack Farris won $1,000 from that game. I know he had Nelson and Barzell in his lineup.
Yeah. I did. So I won $1,000. It was pretty nice.
It's pretty good.
Not bad at all. Listen, I love, like I said it before. I think I already mentioned it. So sorry if I'm repeating myself now, but I love Austin Matthews. The guy's a legit goal scorer.
Sure is.
Marner reminds me almost of Patrick Kane a little bit. Like, he's so skilled. He's so good with the puck. He's so good at passing. He's skating. But I think still, as of right now, where hockey is, he's not a playoff player. The Bostons, the Tampas, the Floridas, they know how to stop him in the playoffs when they play physical and they play gritty.
True.
And they could shut him down.
True.
And I think that's what's happening. I think that's what's going to happen again. I don't know exactly what's going on with Jake Muzzin, so sorry, Toronto Maple Leaf fans that are probably screaming at your stereos right now at me because I don't know how long he's going to be out for. But, Jake Muzzin I like. Like, he's a big, tough D-man. He blocks shots. He hits guys. He's a solid defenseman. It's exactly what they needed, so I give him credit for going and getting him and extending him and everything like that a few years back. But I just don't think that they could get past Tampa or even Boston.
No.
I mean, would it shock me if they got past Boston? No, it wouldn't. But, like, at the same time, I don't know. Like, I just can't pick them. I can't get on board with Toronto winning. I just can't. I know Matthews is awesome. I don't know exactly what they have to do. They're first of all, they're going to be up against the cap. Like, they always are, because they got Tavares making $11 million. They got Matthews making almost 12. They got Marner making 11 and change, I believe, or 11 million. I think Muzzin makes 5.5, 6.
Who's next to get paid?
So it's like when you have 30-something million wrapped up in 3 forwards, and you don't have cap space to go get a really good goalie and shore up your blue line by getting depth and stuff. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough game to play. I mean, it's you have to pay guys like Matthews who score 50-somewhat goals every year, but I don't know. No, I'm off Toronto. I don't think they get past Tampa. I don't even think they get past Boston, to be honest with you. I really don't. And I almost hope they prove me wrong. It would be kind of cool to see.
Absolutely.
It would be kind of cool to see Toronto prove me wrong and beat Boston or something, but I don't think they're getting past Tampa. If they have to play Tampa or Florida, I don't think they're getting past either one of them. That's my opinion. I don't know about you, Rick.
Well, I mean, listen, everything you did say was valid, and Toronto fans, I hope you don't come and kill me or something, but uh, like I said, I mean, it comes down to goaltending. Jack Campbell posted a 30-9 record with like 6 overtime losses. I mean, that's pretty good. If we're going to talk about Toronto, we can't not mention that. Listen, we could talk about Marner, we could talk about Nylander, we could talk about Tavares, we could talk about Matthews, we could talk about all these guys, Mikheyev stepping up, Bunting's freaking being great. You got to give credit where credit is due. Jack Campbell, listen, numbers don't lie. 39 and 6. I mean, listen, splits the net with Mrazek. I can't even fucking talk.
But also, see, that's what Toronto's famous for doing. They have an amazing regular season. They
Exactly.
put up, they listen, they just got smoked by Tampa the other night, 8-1. And I know, look, this is a regular season game in April where...
Both clinched, I think. No, Tampa didn't technically
It's in April,
clinch,
and, like, you
but-
know, maybe not every... You know, maybe Toronto wasn't putting everything into it because they didn't have to. Whatever.
Right.
I get it. Like, you can't judge everything based off one regular season game. But still, I don't think they get past Tampa in the playoffs. I really don't.
I agree.
I just don't. I think Tampa's got better goaltending. I think they could play more physical. They have skill still. I know Point isn't Matthews. He doesn't put up. He can't score goals like Matthews. But I think Tampa's got more depth. They're more well spread out. They got probably a better blue line. They definitely have a better blue line. Actually,
Definitely.
I shouldn't say probably. They definitely do.
Definitely have a
They have a
blue
better
line.
goalie. They're not getting past Tampa. I'd be shocked if they do. I would not put my money on Toronto beating Tampa. That's for sure. I wouldn't put my money on. We shouldn't just keep saying Tampa because we don't know. I mean, Florida either. I don't think they're beating the Panthers.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's true.
I don't even know if they could beat Boston. I think it's a mental thing for them with Boston because they can never beat Boston. I think they got a better chance of beating Boston than they do Florida or Tampa.
I think it comes down to the physicality with Boston. I think physicality, and like I said, like you said actually, Jack, that I hope they prove us wrong. We're just going by past track record and what we can project to the best capability of our knowledge. I think the Boston Bruins do win a series against them due to physicality and just getting to the corners and winning those puck battles and overpowering them from winning the puck. I mean,
100%.
puck possession is key.
Yep.
You know. I want to dive into the Pittsburgh Penguins real quick.
All right.
Very interesting team. My cousin loves them. Big Penguins fan. Big Letang fan. Let's open it
Still
up with
nasty.
Letang. Letang has always been solid.
Yeah.
I mean, when he's healthy and he's playing, he's always been solid.
Yep.
I don't know when he hasn't been solid yet, and he's been in the league for how long? You know.
Yeah.
No,
he's a good defenseman.
He's great.
He's
He's
very good.
great. He really is. He's a great. You can't ask for more. You really can't. You really can't. I mean, he's really good two ways. I mean, he's an offensive defenseman. Clearly, he's a great puck mover, but he can also come back on D and play that defensive game. And he might not be the biggest, but his stick skill says it all.
He's a good skater. He
Yeah.
moves the puck well. He's a good, yeah. I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, listen, they have Sidney Crosby. They have Evgeny Malkin. Whenever you have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, you're gonna have a shot at winning a cup. They've proved that to us before. So, Malkin was out most of the year with an injury. We don't know how serious an injury was. I mean, it might have almost been a smart move by them. Like, hey, why doesn't have Gino sit out for most of the year and rest, and then be, good to go for the end of the season and the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players on Pittsburgh that don't, kind of get foreshadowed, I guess would be the word. I mean, Brian Rust, Jake Guentzel.
Yup. Rust, big time. Big
Guentzel.
year. Big year for Brian Rust.
Jake Guentzel, especially. I mean, look, it's probably a little easier when you're on a line with Crosby, but, still. The guy scores a lot of goals. He plays well. He stays healthy, knock on wood. I mean, there's so many players. There's a lot of players in Pittsburgh people don't talk about that are very good players. And I think Guentzel's definitely one of them. And obviously, the Pittsburgh Penguin fans, I know you guys love Guentzel and you know how good he is, but, I'm just saying in general.
He doesn't get the appreciation.
Yeah. Brian Dumoulin, solid defenseman.
Yeah.
You know, what scares me about Pittsburgh is their goaltending. Jari went down. I don't know if he's going to be out for the playoffs or not because he was having a pretty damn good year. But
yeah,
that's one thing. I mean, Pittsburgh for Rickard Rakell was a smart pickup. I'll tell you that. He's playing great with them.
Yep.
He's skilled. He's a great winger. He could skate. He's creative. He's crafty. You know, he's not like a big physical guy, but he still can dig out pucks and be crafty and get it to Crosby, get it to Gino. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm never counting them out as long as they have Crosby and Malkin. I'll tell you that. Never counting them out until, you know, I don't really trust their goaltending 100%. I think that's one thing that turns me off from them. But you got Crosby and Malkin, you cannot count them out.
Yeah.
And Jake Gensel is an elite winger, in my opinion. So
no, I agree. I've been saying it even earlier in the season. I think goaltending is going to be their biggest question mark. And I know we've been saying it all podcasts, but it really, I mean, past track record shows you need an elite goaltender to get you to that Stanley Cup final. Just to get you there. I mean, even to win it is a lot, you know? I mean, like I said, you know, goaltending is going to be the biggest factor. Look at Fleury when he went, right?
Mm.
Fleury was there against the Capitals. He's an elite goaltender. He
Absolutely.
will bring you there. Mm. You know what I mean? You need an elite goalie to at least bring you there. So that's my standpoint. But again, the Penguins, honestly, for the history of what they've done, especially with Crosby and Malkin, I would be happy if they win, honestly. And that's coming from an Islander fan. It's
I sure wouldn't be happy.
I know, but you
like
know what it is.
Coming from.
And
Crosby's kind of like the Brady. Of the NHL
true.
in a sense.
That is true. Yup.
You know, because he's done it. He's won, and he's won 3. He's always, just every year he's good. His training, anything you read or you hear about him, he's just, you know, just super serious about everything with his training and his working out and improving. You know, he's obviously one of the best players in the NHL for years now, and if not the best.
He's dominated, for years.
He still just apparently has the most amazing work ethic and just trains, and every little detail of his game he works on. So we all know how good he is. We all know how good Malkin is.
Yeah.
It's for that, like I said, I don't trust their goaltending. I don't think they're they're not my pick. I'll tell you that, be honest. They're not my pick. I don't think they're going to win the cup, but I wouldn't count them out or, you know, disrespect them when they got Crosby and Malkin, that's for sure. They always have a chance. Yeah. You got those two guys, you got a chance.
Yeah. That big three between Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. Those, listen, that's their big three. You know, big three like basketball. That is their big three. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and like Jack said before, I really do think it comes down to, again, not to beat the dead horse here, but goaltending. If Jerry goes down, who's there? I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head right now.
Probably Casey DeSmith, who's been okay. He's solid, but
and that's why we have Jack on the show right there. Let's move on to the Capitals real quick.
Not scared of them.
Not scared of them is right. I'm scared of Ovechkin.
Scared of Ovechkin.
Ovechkin. You have to be.
You're a dummy if you're not. Yeah, he's good.
I know we took a spill. Was it last night or the night before?
Yeah, he's back. He's fine.
He's good?
Okay. Listen, I like Ovi.
He's a tough guy, man.
Oshie.
Machine.
TJ Oshie I like a lot, but I don't think I don't know what it is about Washington. I don't see them winning. I don't see them going far. Yeah. If it's Pittsburgh, Washington, I'm going Pittsburgh.
Really?
I think the Rangers beat Washington. I think Pittsburgh could beat them. I think Carolina beats them. I don't trust them. I'm not picking Washington. I'm not big on them. I'm just not. I don't know what it is. Listen, I have respect for Backstrom. I got respect for Ovechkin. They're so good. But John Carlson's a solid D-man, too. Oh, yeah. I don't know. You know, this becomes hard. This is the hard part of the job.
This is the hard part. Yep.
But when I have my teams picked, and I'm not picking Washington just because I think their time's kind of come and gone, and Ovechkin's still he's still unreal.
He's gonna score goals.
But yeah, I mean,
that's what he does.
When we're talking about going far in the playoff, yeah, Washington's going to make the playoffs. They're going to put up a fight. They're going to be. They're not. They're a force to be reckoned with, but they're not winning the cup, in my opinion. Not again. They won their cup. I think it's kind of over. I don't think they're going to win again. I don't think they have enough depth. I think John Carlson's amazing. I like the way he plays. Big right-hand shot defenseman that can move the puck. Ovechkin, we know what he can do. Anyone that has watched hockey once in their life knows Ovechkin, but like, I don't know. Yeah, Washington doesn't really scare me.
Listen, with Washington,
Tom Wilson's a big difference maker. We get it,
yeah,
but like,
especially in playoffs, you know how physical he gets. Now Tom Wilson is a guy that you hate to play against, but you would love him on your team.
Yeah,
you know, he was on the New York Rangers. He was on the New York Islanders. Come on in. You know what I mean? I would love him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's other teams in the East that I'd pick Pittsburgh or Carolina or the Rangers over Washington. Put it that way.
Yeah. You know what I mean? No, I agree. The thing with the Capitals is, listen, I hate to repeat myself, but it really is the goaltending. I mean, Samsonov and Vitek, how do you say it?
Vanacek.
Vanacek, is it?
Yeah.
That's questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing okay. Listen, hate to beat the dead horse, but goaltending is a big thing in the playoffs. Standing on their head, can they live up to it? That's the biggest question mark that I have about the Washington Capitals.
You're trusting a young goaltender in Samsonov, and
right?
Can he do it? I don't know. He could, but I don't think he's at the level of that most people are.
Correct. Another thing I want to mention is that Dmitry Orlov, I think that he goes under the radar once again, just compared to defensemen in the league. I really am having a high hope on a good playoff series for Dmitry Orlov. I think he's going to step up. I think he's that type of player when the game is on the line, he steps up. Listen, I could be totally wrong. What the fuck do I know? But I always liked him, and I do have high hopes for him. And for the Washington Capitals, again, goaltending, big deal, and staying healthy, most importantly. I think we're going to see Backstrom maybe, I don't know, let's just say, I don't want to say suffer an injury, knock on wood, I don't wish that on the guy, but I think the physicality might get to him. He's getting up there in age. I know he's not an old person in general, but it's a physical game. I know he has Wilson out there to protect him and all that stuff, but he's not going to be attached to his hip. That's just one thing to look out for with the Washington Capitals is goaltending and staying healthy. Mm-hmm. We all know Ovechkin's great. We all know Carlson's great. We all know Kuznetsov. He's a great player. He is. Mm-hmm. He is. I just think goaltending and staying healthy is the biggest thing for the Washington Capitals.
100%. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there because they have a few defensemen that are kind of underrated, I guess you could say. Orlov's definitely one of them. Nicholas Jensen, another guy that he's pretty solid, and he's like an everyday NHLer, does the right thing, does his job, stays healthy, chips in some points here and there. He's a solid defender, and I just, what? It's just one of those things where I don't think Washington's a bad team. I just think there's just teams that are better. Like when you put everything on paper, you look at Carolina and you look at the Rangers and you look at Pittsburgh, in my opinion, I just don't see Washington getting past them. And if they do, it would be some story, to be honest, because I just think when you're looking at rosters, I think Pittsburgh's got a better roster overall, and I think the Rangers do right now, and I think Carolina does too. I don't think, look, no one has an Alexander Ovechkin. Not too many people do. I mean, going back to Toronto, I think Matthews is probably the closest to an Ovechkin because the way he scores, the pace he does.
True.
But
very true.
I'm not getting on board with Washington winning. I'm just not. I'd be picking Pittsburgh, Washington, or Carolina over them. But you know what? So they could prove Jack Farris wrong. That's all right. I'll admit that I was wrong But if I got to put my money on anyone, not Washington.
Fair enough. Listen, I know this is a team that you've been waiting to talk about. Is the Carolina Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the game. I know you went as well.
Yep, I was there.
Islanders vs. Carolina. It's pretty funny how it all happens, man. Jack Farris texted me saying he really wants to see a Carolina power play because he loves the way they move the puck.
Yep.
What do you know? 1 minute later, they get a power play. I texted him back. I said, well, there's your power play. And what do you know? A minute into the power play, wild guess, they score on a sick play, sick goal, fucking magnificent puck movement. It's just, it's something else. It really is something out of this world. They are a great team, and it's just the acquisition of Frederick Anderson, I think, is one of the biggest
100%. Listen,
biggest things.
Freddie Anderson is a good goalie. He was a good goalie in Toronto. Now he's in North Carolina, where there's way less pressure. There's way less media scrutiny. There's way less all of that, and I think he's flourishing because of that. You play in Toronto, it's a big market. You make one mistake, they're all over you. There's articles written about you. There's media in your face with a microphone. He's flourishing in Carolina. I like Carolina because there's a lot of ex-Rangers. I'm not rooting for them against the Rangers because I'm a Rangers fan at heart, obviously. Obviously my Rangers are my pick. That's who I want to win, because I've grown up a Ranger fan, obviously. But I like Carolina. They got a lot of ex-Rangers that I like. Brendan Smith, Tony DeAngelo has been on fire. You got the stupid Ranger fans on Twitter that, oh, he sucks, he's no good. The guy's got like 50-something points. He's running a power play, and he's pretty tough. I think he's going to do great in the playoffs because he's a great offensive defenseman, but he could also play with an edge. He could hit. He's not scared he's not scared of contact. He'll fight if he has to. He's going to get fucking paid this summer too, I'm sure.
And that's what you need in the playoffs. I mean, you need that grit. You need that extra edge. And that's even if you're a guy that is finesse with the puck and whatnot. You need that extra edge. You need that determination. You need that grit. You need all that in the playoffs. It's a different season.
Tony D is great. He's an amazing offensive defenseman, but Jacob Slavin might be one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. That guy's unbelievable.
Only diehards know who he is.
Unbelievable defense. Listen, and it's North Carolina, so they don't get talked about. Like I said, we all know. I'm sure Toronto Maple Leaf fans, Boston Bruins fans, Ranger fans, Montreal fans, people don't talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. Big, NHL. You turn on TSN or Sportsnet, it's usually Montreal, Rangers, Boston, Toronto, of course, Vancouver, maybe Calgary. You're not, maybe Minnesota a little bit, Detroit, but Jacob Slavin is unbelievable. He's an unbelievable defensive defenseman. He's just extremely good. Brett Pesce is an unbelievable defenseman.
I like Pesce a lot.
Brady Shea, another ex-Ranger.
Yeah.
He's not at Slavin's level by any means, but he's a solid defenseman. He skates well. He moves the puck pretty well. They're a good team, and a lot of people, Carolina doesn't have a superstar. I don't know. I kind of disagree. Sebastian Aho is not Matthews level. He's not Alexander Barkov level. He's not Kucherov level. I agree, but he's pretty damn good. He's a pretty damn good player, so Svechnikov's a pretty damn good player. Teravainen, pretty damn good player. Look, saying Carolina will win the Cup is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but I think they're going to go far. I think they're a good team. I really like their blue line. I think Freddie Anderson's a real good goalie, and I think he's flourished in Carolina, like I said, because he's not dealing with Toronto's crazy media and, all the pressure in Toronto.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Carolina a lot, and it wouldn't shock me if they won. It wouldn't be blown off my feet, I'll tell you that. Because they're a pretty solid team. They moved, it's all about how they're going to play in the playoffs. Look, they got guys that are battle tested in the playoffs. Jordan Stoll, Stepan. They got these vets that could play in the playoffs and could go that extra step and stuff like that. And they're not my number one pick for the Stanley Cup, but they're gonna be good in the playoffs. I would not count out Carolina. They're a good friggin' team.
Yeah. Listen, I think two guys that we left out actually, is Nino Niederreiter. I think I have a
Underrated.
feeling. I just have a feeling he's going to go off. If there was a time for him to shine, it's this season. And not that he hasn't shined before, but he used to be in the Islanders system. I don't think he was given a fair shot. They judged him basically off of one season. I think he played like 35 games and only like 7 points, and then that was it. They wrote him off and shipped him off. I think that's a little insane. But I really do. I mean, he scored at least 20 goals this season. Battled some injuries, nothing crazy, nothing major, nothing to be alarmed about. But I do think that he's going to go off in the playoffs this season, and it's going to be something to see. I think Carolina does make a run, but the biggest opponents in their way is Florida and Tampa Bay. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing that scares me because as much as I like Carolina and I kind of root for them secretly a little bit because they have so many ex-Rangers and players I like, and I'm a big Tony D guy, so I root for him personally. But like, I don't know if they're getting past Tampa or Florida, to be honest with you. I really don't. I don't know. Wouldn't shock me, but I wouldn't bet on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't bet on it. I
They're
bet
a
on a
good
lot
team,
of things, but
like I think Florida's got more star power.
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it'd be an interesting series. I'd love to watch Carolina Tampa or Carolina Florida.
oh hell yeah.
I mean, interesting, entertaining series.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Who I'm looking forward to seeing grow as a player is Seth Jarvis.
Who's been on fire this year?
Yeah.
He really has. He's been
Young guy.
real good. Stepped right in. Look, Rod Brind'Amour is an awesome coach,
Hell yeah.
and he gets the most out of his guys. And probably part of the reason he does is because he's an ex-player, and all those players in that locker room know the way he played. And he retired probably I don't even know, 08 maybe, something like that. They all know that he was a player and he played hard and he was digging in deep, and the stuff he used to do. That goes a long way. So those players in that locker room are like, all right, this guy's been there, he's done that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that goes a long way.
Listen, speaking of a lot of ex-Rangers on the Tampa Bay Lightning, let's talk about the New York Rangers.
Mm-hmm. My team. Yeah.
We know that's your team. That's Jack Farris' team. I love the Cop edition. I really do.
Me too.
And that's me coming as an Islander fan. I can't be biased. This is what we do. We talk about hockey. I think that's a great fit. I think he really fills the roles and the openings that were needed. You needed a guy. You needed a third-line center. If he fits that role, he's even good enough to be bumped up to the second-line center. I don't watch them religiously. I don't know if he's playing on the second line and whatnot, but, he really does.
I think he's on the third line lately, yeah, but he's playing awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for more.
Yeah.
Right now is what we see so far. So.
I mean, there's Ranger fans out there that have heard like, maybe we'll let Ryan Strome walk and we can sign Cobb instead. I don't know. I like Ryan Strome, but I like them both. I don't know if we could afford to keep both, but I think Cobb is a smart addition to the playoffs because I think a lot of people wanted him. He's a centerman that could, with some offensive flair, that's big, and can play hard.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you need for the playoffs.
Yeah. Listen, you're bringing more physicality to the team. It's another body that can go defend his stars and whatnot if need be. Mm-hmm. The guy's a hockey player. He can put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
He can set up the play if he needs to.
Michigan guy, he played with Truba in Michigan.
Yeah, right.
Winnipeg.
I've heard about that. Yeah. I mean, he really is just an all-around good player.
100%, yeah.
His time in Winnipeg proved it. He's proved himself. I'm excited for him, personally, to see what he does during the playoffs. I really am excited, even though I am a Islander fan. I am excited to see what the Rangers do. It's I wouldn't say a long time coming, but it's kind of cool how last year they weren't in, but let's see what they're doing. Coming back in strong
Yeah.
into the playoffs now. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool to see.
It's up to like the young man if they, counter Miller, which looks good.
Right.
If he can keep that pace up in the playoffs, and if he can do that, and Lindgren keep playing well, and Fox stays at the level he's been at.
Right.
I think they have a really young blue line aside from Truba. Truba's kind of the veteran in a sense, and he's a prototypical because he's so big. But yeah, so he's big. He's awesome defensively. He hits guys. He's got a cannon of a shot. So look, the Rangers are a weird one for me because I do have a bias because I'm a Ranger fan, but it wouldn't shock me if they went far. It wouldn't shock me if they didn't go far at all. I do think they're still young. I think Panarin carries a lot of that offense.
Yes.
And Zibanejad. But you got a lot of young guys on the team. Lafreniere, Kakko, who's just got hurt again.
He got hurt again?
Yeah. So we'll see when he comes back.
I didn't even know that. See, what's said about that is that he. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's in his return against Philly, he scored 2 goals.
I believe so.
Was that his first game back? I think.
Yep.
I remember seeing that come up on my phone. I'm like, what? Good for this guy. Because there was a lot of question marks around him. Is he a bust? Blah, blah, blah. Me personally, I was thinking he was a bust. Not to be biased or anything, but I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, I think people jump the gun with that sometimes because people said that about Troy Terry. Now he's got 33 goals.
True, yeah, and look at him now.
24 years old.
What I think it comes down to also is a lot of overhype before the draft.
Yeah.
A big overhype. And not
that's
that
the media.
And I don't mean overhype as in the guy's bad. It's just, they almost always project and overhype every top 5 pick. The second coming of Crosby and this and that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the real hockey people that are following it kind of know. It takes time.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah, I mean, it really the Rangers matchup. It depends. Listen, guys, when we do the podcast next week, we're gonna have a much better gauge on what's going on because we're gonna know who the Rangers are playing, and we're gonna know all the matchups and stuff like that. But I think the Rangers get past Washington. I really do. Shesterkin has been unbelievable. So. He's the MVP of the Rangers this year. I mean,
yep, 100%.
Without Shesterkin, we're not in the spot we're in. I don't think. Adam Fox, obviously unbelievable this year again. He's so good. He's so poised. He's so smart with the puck. If he keeps that same pace in the playoffs when the games get a little tougher, a little tighter, a little more physical, which I think he can. I think he's that smart and that poised that he's going to kind of outsmart those people that are trying to hit him and whatnot, But, yeah, I think it all comes down to how good Shesterkin keeps playing, which I can't see him slowing down. He's been so consistent. You know what I mean? He's been so good lately. Since the start of the season, really, since last season. Yeah, I think they could get past Carolina for sure. I think they definitely could. I think it would be a tough series, but they could get past them. Yeah. I think they can get past Washington. I think they could get past Pittsburgh. It'll be a tough series. Any 3 of those would be a tough series. It'll be interesting. That's why I think the playoffs are going to be so interesting this year because I think it's
I agree.
A lot of parity and it's going to be no one's going to be easy out. It's not going to be there's no easy series. There's no like, oh yeah, we're going to beat them in 4 games. Like every series is going to be interesting, and I think that's what's going to make it so interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
And I love my Rangers. I hope they could. I think their rebuild kind of happened quicker than a lot of people thought, and now they're in playoff contention. So I think they definitely could take a huge step here and get deep into the playoffs. I do think they're good enough, but I think a lot of that rides on if their young players keep playing at the pace they're playing in the playoffs, which we can't really judge that yet because they're not battle tested.
Yeah. Listen, you mentioned MVP of the Rangers being Shesterkin, and listen, there is no doubt about that. This guy, it would be a shame if he didn't win the Vezina. You know what I mean? He's got to be a Vezina favorite.
100%,
You know?
yeah.
The second person, and this guy could override Shesterkin, but I mean, goalie's a big key. Is Chris Kreider, man?
100%, yeah.
I mean, when they signed him to that deal, I was kind of like scratching my head. You know,
That looks like a bargain.
Now they look like geniuses now.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like they said, "Hey, Chris, you gonna score 50 goals this year?" He goes, "Yeah," and they're like, "All right, we're gonna pay you this much, no problem."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, he's been unreal.
I mean, great for him, man. I mean, I love to see it. I really do.
He was so inconsistent for so many years when he was younger.
Right.
You know, like he battled some injuries, and then he'd play amazing for 15 games, and then he'd cool off for 10.
Right.
But he's seemed to find his consistency, and he seemed to like put it all together, and it's an amazing thing to see. And he's locked up long term, and he's playing unreal, and he's got that connection with Zibanejad and Panarin. So I mean,
it's scary.
It's awesome to see. Especially in the power play, he's just huge guy, so just goes right to the front of the net, deflection, rebounds. You know, he's just he's a playoff player too, because he's going to be an X factor in the playoffs for sure.
Absolutely, it's a big body, man. He plays hard, he goes hard. That's in his play style. You know, how much more could you ask from him, especially this year? You know, I mean, 50 goals, man, that's a milestone in itself, regardless if you make playoffs, regardless of what your team does. You know, it's obviously team first and everything, but, I mean, 50 goals, man. You sign a guy to whatever deal and whatnot, he puts up 50 goals, man. You can't ask for more, you know. That itself is just what it is. It's just exactly what it says on paper and whatnot. But, 100%. I do think that, you know, if there was an award for MVP for the Rangers, you know, I don't know. It's really tough to pick between Shesterkin and Kreider. Really is, because
I agree, yeah.
The reason being, right, the reason that the Rangers are in the position that they are in is Shesterkin and Kreider. I mean, 50 goals, and Shesterkin stands on his head. You know, like I said, what more can you ask for? So
yeah, I think 100%. Yeah, I mean, guy that's scoring 50+ goals like Kreider. I mean, it's pretty tough not to give him the credit that he's getting. But I think it's Shesterkin for sure. Has just been he's been lights out, and you know, listen, Georgiev's been inconsistent. He's come in and played some good games for us, and I'm not trying to like shit on Georgiev, but I mean, you notice the difference as soon as Georgiev's in net compared to Shesterkin. Is a huge difference.
Right.
And Shesterkin's an amazing goalie, you know, and he's been our X factor for sure. So he'd be my choice as the real game breaker, for sure. I mean, like I said, with the Rangers, it's really going to come down to their young guys stepping up in the playoffs. If they can do that, I think they could go far.
Yeah.
If they're not ready and battle tested for the playoffs, and they need to go through that playoff series of losing and getting beat up a little bit because they haven't played it and they're not experienced enough for it yet, then they have to go through that. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world either. But yeah, I it's so weird. I mean, wouldn't shock me if they beat Carolina. Wouldn't shock me if they beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's really tough for me to judge as an honest Ranger fan. I mean, if you ask me who's the better goalie, Tristan Jarry or Igor Shesterkin, Shesterkin. You know what I mean?
That's obvious.
You know, so
no disrespect.
If we wind up playing Pittsburgh, I really do think we could win, no doubt.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Let's dive into the New York Islanders while we're on the the New York subject. If you guys don't know, Rick Adams is a big Islanders fan. Very frustrating season. Yeah. But as I've been saying, is one step back for a giant leap forward. What is that giant leap forward going to entail? I have no idea. The loss of Eberle and Leddy, I think, hurts more than people would have realized. before they left. The saying goes, it's you don't know how good you have it until it's gone. I think that fits this description perfectly. Losing those two guys, I think it's a big key in all aspects of the game between puck movement and finishing. Between puck movement, between Letty and the finishing, between Eberle. People could argue that he was so inconsistent and whatnot, but, I'm not even going to get into all that. But MVP of the season for the New York Islanders is Brock Nelson. He had his best season. I really have to say that it's almost like there is a bright future of what's to come. But I think this offseason coming up is going to be the biggest offseason in the New York Islanders term in the NHL in a while. Because I think this is a big offseason to see where they'll actually really progress or regress. There's potential free agents coming up. I don't think anybody would really sign with them. Maybe Philippe Forsberg if the money's right, but I don't see him leaving Nashville at all. I really don't.
I don't think Nashville wants him to leave. They're probably going to try
exactly.
To but I don't know. The thing with the Islanders is keep hearing, oh, they're going to make a hockey trade, but what? Who are you trading? Are you going to trade Brock Nelson? Why? He's been a lifelong Islander. Yep. He's a really good player.
Yep.
I don't see who you are trading. I think I mentioned it earlier. I think they screwed up by getting rid of Devin Taves. And
that goes years back. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's on a great contract. He's an unbelievable defenseman. They were trying to save cap space for
who?
I don't remember who exactly.
Pajot.
Right. Cizikas. As much as I know Cizikas is an important player, he's a penalty killer and stuff, but you got Devin Taves in your blue line right now. It's a big difference, It's that Eberle doesn't seem to be doing so great in Seattle, but he seemed to fit in with the Islanders.
Well, look why. He's playing on Seattle. No disrespect to the new Seattle Kraken, but, I mean, Eberle is a guy that you need to put him on a line with Barzal, and he's going to flourish.
It seemed like he scored big goals for the Islanders.
Yes.
And he fit in well with them.
Yep.
So, I mean, listen, I think they messed up getting rid of Devin Taves. I think he's really good. And, we'll see. I mean, they have some pieces. Barzal's great. We'll see if Wallstrom keeps flourishing.
Yeah.
If
I got a little
Dobson. I think the bright spot for them is Noah Dobson.
I like
he looks
Dobson.
like a stud.
Big Dobson fan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorokin looks like he's not Shesterkin, but he looks like a really solid goalie.
Dude, he used to start over Shesterkin apparently in that league that they played in.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? It's weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's like I love how they're on rival teams too. They played together on one's on the Rangers, one's on the Islanders.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, I think the best thing that could happen for the Islanders is maybe they get a nice draft pick this year, and then they kind of reset, regroup, and you maybe shore up in free agency. I don't see them making a big splash and going after someone high ticket. But they maybe add some depth or something. And,
depth. I see. In typical Islanders fashion, I don't see them signing a big free agent at all. Even if the money is right. I know they have the new arena and everything, and it's great. We've been there. It's state-of-the-art facility. I just don't see a big-time name this season coming up, this offseason coming up, signing with them. I just really don't. And maybe out of all people, my only thing seeing really, I don't even want to say realistically because it's not even realistic, is Philippe Forsberg. I don't see him leaving Nashville, and that's in case they do a deep run, which, I don't want to count him out. It is possible.
And the Islanders have cap space for him, too?
They do,
so he's going to want some big money,
But, I mentioned Nelson, MVP of the Islanders. You brought up Wallstrom. It's weird with Wallstrom. I don't understand if there's a conflict in the locker room between Barry Trotz and Wallstrom, but, people always go, oh, what do you know? Don't question Barry Trotz, blah, 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 blah. Well, if there's ever a time to question him, it is now. Listen, there is no disrespect. The guy's a great coach. We all know it. We saw it with Washington. We saw it with Nashville back in the day. We all know what he's capable of. We know what game plan he runs. It's nothing.
Hall of Fame coach, but every group of players get sick of their coach at some point. And that's just the reality, whether it's a good coach or not.
I'm not saying his job's on the line. I'm not saying he needs to go. I'm not calling for his head at all. I just I don't understand why they didn't really give Wallstrom full-time playing time. That was a little head scratcher to me personally. I was really excited to seeing Wallstrom develop and grow and get most of the time on the ice. But there was some games where I saw that he was scratched, and I'm sitting here like, this is a time where you should play him, just to see what he can do at the big time. I mean, and this even goes after games where they were kind of making playoff contention. So, you want to develop players at the same time at elite level. So I never really understood why sometimes he was a healthy scratch. Maybe I'll never know. I'm sure I'll never know unless some guy makes a crazy article about it. But that was a big head scratcher for me through the season, with specifically with Wallstrom and Barry Trotz. I thought that was always weird. You could argue that he turns over the puck and he does this and that, but at the end of the day, if the guy generates scoring chances and whatnot, let him be, man. Especially if we're at a playoff contention, just let him develop. Let him do his thing. Let him do his thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's just me as a fan watching the game. If you're at a playoff contention, nothing's on the line. Let the kid do what he wants. And I'm not saying give him the torch and do whatever he wants, but let him develop. Don't handcuff him to a situation. But
yeah, 100%. I think Tyler's got some. They're on. I don't think they're gonna need to a full rebuild, but I think they gotta add some depth and maybe make a smart trade or something. It's tough to say, but I mean they got some nice pieces. Barzell's obviously unbelievable.
Right, he's got to be frustrated, man.
Yeah, I just he's got to be frustrated. They gotta play it the right way, because I don't see them winning the cup for a few years. No. I think they're gonna be competitive.
Yes. But, that's coming from me.
No one should sleep on them, but I think
it's
all gonna matter. How much more does Noah Dobson progress? If he gets better and Wallstrom gets better, I mean that can make a huge difference. And you add another piece on the blue line, maybe you add another goal scorer if you can, another winger, another centerman. But yeah, I mean, once we it's tough. We kind of dove into the Islanders quite a bit. I do want to touch on Philly. I know they've had a horrible season. It's been just bad story after bad story with them. The whole Keith Yandel thing was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
They scratched him for that young college kid that they wanted to play instead of him, and screwed up his Ironman streak. I know he wasn't having a great year, but I just think kind of that confused me, because he was such a respected vet that there's not, Philly was in zero chance of getting into the playoffs, at all. Yeah. So it's kind of why not let the guy play the last few games to, get to that record out of respect? That was my opinion on it.
Absolutely.
Because you got nothing to lose, so whether he's playing good or not, but whatever. Yeah, they had a rough year. I think they have some good pieces. I think Carter Hart, if he takes a step, I think he can be a good goalie. He's supposed to be an elite goalie. He's young still. If Kevin Hayes comes back motivated and does what he has a good year, 'cause he is capable of putting up points. He's capable of being a serious player for them. Couturier, if he's healthy. Some of these young guys stepping up. Konechny, the Owen Tippett guy they got from Florida.
Yeah.
I don't see them making a huge, I don't see Philly being super good to the point where they're scaring people, and but I think they're going to be more competitive next year. I mean, according to their GM, they don't want to do a rebuild, they want to retool. We'll see. One thing to watch out for, I know we haven't touched on the West yet, but Johnny Gaudreau is basically a Philly guy. He's from South Jersey.
I didn't even know that.
I don't know if Calgary is going to be able to afford to re-sign him, or if they can. I don't know if he wants to re-sign there. He's having an unbelievable year.
Unbelievable.
You got to wonder if he wants to come home and play for Philly.
That's interesting. I didn't even know about this. That's crazy.
He grew up a Flyers fan.
Imagine him on Philly.
He also played with Kevin Hayes at Boston College.
Really?
And Kevin Hayes is a Flyer, obviously. So that's something to watch out for. I mean, you add Johnny Gaudreau to that group. That could make a huge difference right off the bat offensively.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow.
So we'll see about that. If that happens in free agency, then yeah. I mean, we'll dive more into free agency in the coming weeks. But, yeah, that happens. That could make a huge difference, but we'll see. But that's all I got for Philly. I mean, Philly's, they got some nice pieces. True is a great player.
Two players I want to mention real quick, Jack, not to cut you off, but it's Joel Farabee. He had an interesting season. He was starting it off hot, and then he got injured, and he just couldn't really pick up back where he left off. And then you could argue he finished strong and whatnot, but I really do think that Farabee and the acquisition of Atkinson. I know that he. Atkinson isn't a young core guy and whatnot, but he's definitely got plenty of hockey left in him. I do think that those two guys right there, specifically, could be a game changer for next season. Given the fact that Farabee is a young player adjusting his game to the NHL level and whatnot, and then you also got Atkinson adjusting his game to a new system, a new team and whatnot. By all means, I'm not saying next year the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be a force to be reckoned with at all. But, I don't know. It's going to be interesting how they play out next season. I really don't think they're going to be a bottom feeder team. Honestly.
No, I don't think so.
I really don't think so.
I think they'll be competitive. I do. I think they'll be competitive. If they're healthy and their young players step up more and, maybe they make a smart trade or they do do the right thing in free agency or make a smart hockey trade. I think they could kind of definitely be on the road to being more competitive. But yeah, I mean, listen, what I did want to dive into a little bit is the Eastern Canadian teams because we kind of left them out, and I'm sure there's some listeners like punching their steering wheels, like Ottawa and. I mean, yeah, we didn't touch on Ottawa, right?
Tim Stützle. All day.
I love Brady Tkachuk. I really do.
Yeah,
I love both of the Tkachuks, but what I will say about the Canadian teams, and please, if the Canadian fans think I'm wrong or they think I'm a complete asshole for saying this, I think it's true coming from an American guy. I think a lot of people don't want to sign in Canada, and I'm not trying to get political here or anything like that. I just think based on taxes alone,
True.
just because it's higher taxes in Canada for the right or wrong reasons, I don't know. I don't live there, but it seems like they have trouble attracting free agents. Doesn't matter what city, Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg. I think, when a really good player hits free agency and they have their option to go to Tampa or Ottawa, they're going to Tampa.
Yeah.
I think even a Canadians fan or Ottawa Senators fan could agree with me on that. So
if it was Toronto or Tampa, I could see the argument.
I think even then,
I think it's Tampa all
the
day.
taxes are insane, and I think there's a lot of pressure. And look, there's something to be said on the other side of it, where it's like, all right, if you play in Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg, like they're all about hockey up there. That's the upside, right? I mean, Winnipeg, Ottawa people reach out. I mean, you guys know everything up there is all hockey all the time, and that's kind of cool. I could see that being cool. I mean, if you're a Winnipeg Jet or an Ottawa Senator, it's like you're the man, right? Because it's everything up there is hockey. You play in New York, it's like, all right, yeah, you're a New York Ranger, but there's also the New York Yankees. There's the Knicks. There's the Giants. Like, it's, there's so many other sports that people care about that, when you're in Canada, it's all hockey. And people really, they're kind of like, celebrities in a sense, which is kind of cool. Like, people really love their hockey up there, so... that's the cool side of it. But I do think every Canadian team has trouble attracting free agents because of the tax situation, and I just don't think it's attractive to sign in Winnipeg or Ottawa. You know what I mean? You know, I'm sure there's cool parts of those cities and stuff, but just based on the weather and the taxes and etc., I think it's hard to attract people to those cities. And if you Canadian fans think I'm wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and reach out. But this is everything I hear. You know, if you know you're gonna pay way less taxes and live in Florida and live in nice weather compared to freezing cold weather and pay way more taxes. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? It's no disrespect to Canada. But I think that's kind of where it's at. Unless you're a Canadian kid, you grew up in Winnipeg, maybe it's your dream to play for Winnipeg, you know. But
right, unless you're born and raised, you know, and I get it. Or even if you're not born and raised, if you're just obsessed with the history behind it, and like Jack said, there's no disrespect behind all this. I mean, we're thankful that this game is even here and whatnot. But
and if you watch those Winnipeg games, it's kind of crazy. The fans are into it.
Yeah,
it
even
looks
Montreal,
cool.
Even Montreal,
cool, yeah.
and look, they're bottom feeders at the last, but they're still
going
crazy.
Listen, I really like Canada. It's not like a diss on Canada. It's like I've been to Canada. I've been to Toronto and Niagara Falls and whatnot. It's cool. I've been to Nova Scotia. Nice place. It's cool. There's a lot of cool parts of Canada. No doubt. I just think maybe not so much with Canadian guys that grew up in Canada, but like American players don't really want to sign in Canada. They want to sign in Florida or St. Louis or, you know, Vegas or New York or wherever it may be. LA. Like, that's where they want to be. So I think that's one downside Canada has. And I think if Canada's tax situation wasn't so high compared to a lot of the United States, that maybe that would be different. It would change. But yeah, I know we went on a tangent right there about like taxes and whatnot, but well, going back to Ottawa, I think they have some nice pieces. Brady Tkachuk, you got him locked up. The way he plays, he's just a prototypical captain. You know, plays hard, scores goals, goes to the net. There's nothing really he won't do. Drake Batherson, super good goal scorer. He's locked in, I think, about 6 years. A pretty good number. Josh Norris, he's up for contract. We'll see what he gets paid. They have good pieces. You know, I'm interested in Ottawa. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I wish I knew what was going on with Matt Murray. I don't really know. Maybe Ottawa fans could reach out to me with that, but I didn't do my homework on Matt Murray. But I know he was in Belleville and Ottawa's farm team, the AHL team.
Crazy, man.
So
crazy. Who would have?
I mean, they got a lot of things to sort out there in Ottawa, and but they do have some good pieces. Like you mentioned, Tim Stützle.
I like him a lot.
You got Brady Tkachuk already. You got Batherson. You got
even Norris, man.
Josh Norris.
With them.
Thomas Chabot's a solid defender.
True.
They got some things going for them. I mean, if you're an Ottawa fan, you should definitely have some hope because they got some nice pieces, but they definitely got some work to do at the same time.
Speaking of Canadian teams, I want to mention Montreal Canadiens. Listen, we know they had a rough season, but with Martin St. Louis taking over, I don't want to get my hopes up, but I want to say there is some bright spots. Ever since he took over, the first 8 games, they looked phenomenal. They looked great. It's almost like he really does connect with the players there. Mm-hmm. Specifically the young group, the younger guys, Suzuki and Caulfield and them. I just really see, the numbers don't lie. I remember seeing something like, St. Louis coached 23 games and Caulfield had like 26 points. It was something along those lines ever since he stepped foot behind the bench. That's something great to see, and I like to see the progress behind that. Just from those notes alone, it's something spectacular to say that a guy who is a former player just to step up and do what he has to do and coach a young hockey team and I don't know, make things exciting to see. I guess have some hopes towards the future of the Montreal Canadiens after a crappy season and whatnot. If I was a Montreal Canadian fan, I would be a little bit ecstatic. If Martin St. Louis came in stepped in, took over, and you saw these young guys develop the way they do. I mean, I'd be having high hopes for the future.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
Well, since Jeff Gordon took over in Montreal, I think some good decisions have been made. One of them being Martin St. Louis, because I think Gordon, if I had to guess, probably realized, hey, look at guys like Rod Brindamore. Like, why do you think Carolina goes out there and plays so hard? There's something to be said. There's a mental thing of like, if you've never played hockey but you really know the game, it's like, okay, like you may know the game, you may be educated on it,
right?
But like, you're not gonna go like, you're not gonna like, I don't want to say respect, but you're not gonna like go out there and play as hard for that guy because you're like, hey, I've been playing my whole life, I know this game, you don't really know, you've studied it, you've watched it, you know what I'm saying? A guy like Rod Brindamore has been in the battle. Martin St. Louis has been in the battle. Like, he knows what they're going through. He's gone through all the same stuff.
Right.
So these players in the Montreal Canadiens are like, they want to play for St. Louis because like, oh, he's been there. He know when he's talking
Both
to us,
won cups.
he's not bullshitting. Like he's been in those situations that, you know what I mean. So, I think that goes a long way, and I think that's why you see that spark of energy from them. And I think you're right. I think they got some nice pieces: Caulfield, Suzuki. But they also have some mega contracts. Yeah. Shea Weber, Carey Price. I don't really know if Carey Price is 100% healthy. I heard he was returning to practice. So we'll see what happens if they draft right. They'll probably end up at the bottom of the draft. I mean, if they could land Shane Wright, that's going to really turn their friggin' rebuild around pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's talk about a team that I've been waiting to talk about for a very long time. Is the Calgary Flames.
Oh yeah.
You know, we talked about Johnny Gaudreau before. Potentially signing with Philly at the end of the year, but I mean, after a season like this and the success that Calgary has, I mean, how could you not re-sign with the Calgary Flames? And it also depends on how far they go. If they're a first-round exit, he might get fed up and want to leave. I don't know necessarily Philly. I mean, I know it's his hometown and whatnot, but, regardless, Calgary Flames, I do think, very underrated team, very under the radar, doesn't get the credit they deserve. I love the Tyler Toffoli addition. Manja Payne, who's that? You know what I mean? Average hockey consumer does not know who that is. That
Western
guy,
Canada people do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Listen, Western Canada, they know who he is.
Yeah.
And the diehards know who he is.
Listen, there's a lot of undercover guys, not to cut you off, but in Calgary, Noah Hannafin being one of them.
Yeah.
He's an amazing defenseman.
Yeah.
I've always liked him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston guy, played in Carolina for a bit, gets traded to Calgary. Solid defender. Pretty decent offensively too. They got that guy Rasmus Anderson. They have they're a good team. Jacob Markstrom. And you talk about Johnny Gaudreau. You know who else's contract is up in Calgary? Matthew Tkachuk's. You know how many points Matthew Tkachuk has this season so far? 101 points.
Matthew Tkachuk.
Tkachuk has got 101 points this season. No
Are
joke.
you for real?
101 points this season for Matthew Tkachuk.
Hold on.
Unbelievable.
Hold on.
You can only imagine what he's going to get paid. So I think they may make a choice. If they throw a ton of money at Gaudreau to stay, and Gaudreau doesn't go to free agency, Tkachuk may sign his qualifying offer with Calgary and then become a free agent next season. And I could totally see Matthew Tkachuk wanting to come to, like, St. Louis, coming home.
Wow.
He's a St. Louis kid. He's an American kid. Wouldn't shock me if he wanted to play in the States.
They're
both they're an unbelievable team. I really like them. Like, I've been saying for weeks before we started this podcast how, I think we spoke about it, how not enough people talk about them, and they should be, because every position's kind of locked down, and people on the East Coast in Toronto and New York and Boston, they're not really paying attention too much to Calgary.
Right.
Everyone knows they're good, I guess, but they're really good.
Yeah,
they're a really good team.
You know what's funny about this is that, like, I love how months later we're talking about this, is because I asked one of my friends that I play NHL with, shout out to Bear, he said, I asked him cup favorites And he jokingly around said New York Rangers because he's a big Ranger fan. But now it's not like crazy to say that. But before the Rangers, he mentioned the Calgary Flames, and I kind of laughed it off. You know, first weekend of the season, I laughed it off. I was like, all right, bro, really, who are you gonna pick? You know. Now it's like, yo, you're a genius. You know, almost. It's literally almost like, dude, you're a genius. Who else you got? You know.
Yeah. Well, I love. Yeah, Jake.
When not to cut you off, when you mentioned Chuck having 101 points, I had no idea. Like, talk about. I mean, I've mentioned guys under the radar. That is a guy under the fucking radar.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And
holy shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are they going to be able to pay Kachuk and Gaudreau? Because I think Kachuk's qualifying offer is $9 million. So they're gonna have to pay him at least $9 million. So you're paying him $9 million. Who knows what Gaudreau wants? I don't know Gaudreau personally. I don't know if he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Philly or, you know, New York or New Jersey. I don't know. I can't see him wanting to sign with the Devils, to be honest. Sorry, Devils fans, but maybe. Who knows? Maybe he wants to go play with Jack Hughes and be in Jersey, and he's like 30 miles away from where he lives, right? But
True.
That's a possibility. But yeah, they're unbelievable. I love Matthew Tkachuk. He's one of my favorite players. 101 points. I think Elias Lindholm is an amazing player.
Great two-way player.
Good centerman.
Yep.
I think if anything, that's the only thing they're lacking is, you know, Sean Monahan's had a bad year. He's not the player he used to be. Lindholm's definitely good. He's he's a good player. But I think if anything, they're just missing like an elite centerman because I don't think Lindholm matches up with like, you know, a Barkov or a McKinnon or Crosby or even a Mika Zibanejad or a Patrice Bergeron, a Matthews. Like, I don't think he's at that level. But, yeah, I mean, look, they got a lot of good forwards still with Kachuk and Gaudreau and Mangiapane, like you mentioned. Solid blue line. Jacob Markstrom's an unbelievable goalie this year. So, yeah, I mean, Calgary's good. They're a good team. They're solid. They got every position doing pretty damn well. So I wouldn't laugh at anyone that thinks they have a shot at winning the cup. I'll tell you that.
No, absolutely. And as time plays out, you know, like I said before, I speaking of laughing at them winning the cup, I did laugh at that. First week, I mean, maybe first month, whatnot, first week, whatever, first week to a month, I did laugh at it. I really did. Because, again, talking about under the radar, a team that's been under the radar for quite some time. So, you know, to see Calgary up in the ranks and whatnot, it's a beautiful thing to see. I really do like it, and I wish them the best of luck. Would I bet on them to win the cup? No, I wouldn't. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know the next team we're going to jump into is Edmonton.
Yep.
And if I had to pick between the two of them, I'm going Edmonton. I'm going Calgary. Sorry.
I agree. I agree.
And I know, look, McDavid and Draisaitl are better than anyone on Calgary, forward-wise. But I get that. But, like, Kachuk and Gaudreau are just both amazing, obviously. And I think that they have enough firepower up front, Calgary, to get it done offensively. But I think where Calgary has the advantage is defense and goalie. Darnell Nurse on Edmonton. We love him. We know he's a good player. We know our really good friend Matt Griffith loves him. He's, you know, really solid. But aside from him and Tyson Barrie, who's a good puck mover, decent player, I don't love their blue line yet. Evan Bouchard's been pretty damn good, too. I like him.
I'm a big fan of Evan Bouchard. Yeah. I fucked up in my fantasy league. Not to get off topic, but Tuesday night I should have played him. And if I played him, I would have won. I mistakenly benched him.
Yeah.
I fucked up. But Bouchard is a great offensive defenseman, another guy who can move the puck, can contribute on the power play. Young guy too.
Yeah. I don't trust Edmonton's goaltending. I'm sorry.
I know. And that's even on top of what's his name? Koskinen, I think they pronounced it. Koskinen even having a decent season, not bad, nothing crazy bad or anything. Yep. I also don't trust it as well.
Are these other West Coast teams able to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl? I think becomes the big question.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
If they could, I think you could score on Edmonton because I don't trust their D-core and their goalie 100%, but I think it really comes down to can you stop McDavid?
Yeah.
And if you could stop McDavid in the playoffs, I think Edmonton's toast.
Yeah.
If they could learn, even if you could learn to stop him 50% of the time, 70% of the time, Edmonton's had the same problem for years. McDavid, Draisaitl are so good; they light it up during the regular season. They make it into the playoffs. Their goalie is never good enough, and they don't ever have enough depth.
Right.
Part of that's a salary cap issue. Part of that is they can't attract free agents because I think Edmonton's another team that no one wants to go play for because it's dark and it's cold, and people just if they have choices, they're not going to Edmonton. Sorry, people that live in Edmonton that are listening to us. I don't know if you agree with us or not. I live in New York. I have things bad to say about New York too, as much as I like it. So I'm not saying that where I live is perfect either, but it's just a fact. I don't know what it is exactly, but I think they have to upgrade their goalie, and I think they gotta shore up their blue line a little bit, get some more depth.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you stop McDavid, right, you also got Draisaitl. You also stop Draisaitl, you got Hyman. If you stop Hyman, you got Nugent Hopkins. I do think they have enough weapons to back them up, but it just comes down to, are those weapons that are backing them up, are they going to live up to expectations? Past track record will show and tell that they did not live up to it. This is going to be a big test for the Edmonton Oilers this upcoming playoff series, this upcoming playoff postseason. Like I said, if they do shut down McDavid and they shut down Draisaitl, if they lock them down, I think we're going to see some plays by I can't even say his name right now. Pugiarve.
Yeah.
Right.
Pugiarve. Yeah.
Pugiarve. I can't even fucking talk. Holy shit. Him, Hyman, and Nugent Hopkins specifically. Maybe some Yamamoto. He's a small guy though. That's another thing, man. He's what, 5'7", 180?
Yeah.
That's I'm not a big guy, but that's like my size, I get fucking tossed around. I know I'm not in tip-top shape, but I mean, playoff hockey, I mean, Yamamoto, I don't know, man. Him going against fucking Tom Wilson, good luck. I know they wouldn't play East Coast, West Coast, until the finals, but good luck, man. It's just going to be interesting for the Edmonton Oilers. Big key, defense, and goaltending.
Yeah.
Just like everything else that we've been talking about this podcast, this episode.
100%.
Enough with the Edmonton Oilers, but I want to get into the LA Kings real quick. MVP of their team, Adrian Kemp.
I like him.
30-goal scorer. Can't ask for more.
Yeah. He's flying under the radar too, for sure.
Absolutely. Only the diehards know about him.
Yep.
I have him on my fantasy team. I think I picked him up. I didn't draft him because I had no idea who he was. I had no idea. Picked him up. Great acquisition for me. But, see, LA is a weird team. Almost as weird as Vancouver and Winnipeg. Because I didn't expect them to be fighting for playoffs or be in playoff contention at all. One thing I will say is I do like the Arvidsson acquisition. I think he came from Nashville, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I do like that. I think he does fit the team. I think he fits his role. I think he plays his role perfectly. Another guy who hasn't missed a step is Anze Kopitar.
Yeah, I agree. And also Philip Deneau.
Yeah.
from Montreal.
Yes.
They got him.
Yes.
He's been super good defensively. He goes
Yes.
unnoticed sometimes.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
you'll see I think if LA makes the playoffs, which I think they are. Drew Doughty is out with injury right now. He'll probably come back from injury early. That's the type of guy he is, I think.
It's funny you mentioned Drew Doughty. I was mentioning something about how maybe some hot takes. I think depending on how this season goes for the LA Kings, I think they should trade Drew Doughty. I think they should trade him now while his value is high and see what they can get. Listen, the guy is phenomenal. The guy is great.
Yeah, he's won cups. He's a solid veteran.
Is he a little bit past his prime? Yes, a little bit. The guy's a professional athlete, early 30s. We're not talking about, late 30s and whatnot. At the end of the day, this is the elite level. This is professional athletes. I think as a business decision for the betterment of the team, I don't know. I think you trade Drew Doughty. I think you do. See what the return is like. At least be open to it. You know what I mean? Let teams know that
He's
you're
got to be in
open
control
to
where
it.
he goes, though. I'm sure he's got no trade.
I'm sure that is true. And you also got to factor in the cap, who can afford him, whatnot.
Yeah.
You don't want to dump him to Arizona. I don't think he would waive his fucking clause to that.
That's what I'm
Obviously,
saying. Like, if they're like someone like Toronto or Winnipeg,
Right.
but he's probably like, fuck you, I'm not going there.
Right. Me personally, if I was GM, I would keep my options open with moving Drew Doughty. I wouldn't be like, no, he's off the market, he's off the block, he's not. No, untradeable.
They're doing good this year, so there's no reason to
No,
move
they
them
are.
yet.
No, you can't move him now.
I think they got some guys coming up. The Arthur Kaliev kid looks pretty damn good so far.
True.
We'll see what happens with Quentin Byfield. We haven't really seen much Alex Turcotte.
True.
I don't even know if they've even called him up this year, but yeah, I mean they're. I always, I like Brendan Lemieux because he's the ex-Ranger. He plays hard. He plays annoying. He fights. I'm curious what happens in the playoffs. I don't think they go far. Like who are they gonna play? You know what I mean? Like if they play Calgary, I mean Calgary's gonna wipe the floor with them. I think. Could be wrong, but I don't see them yet. I mean, look, Jonathan Quick's a damn good goalie. He's a veteran and he's played good for them this year. So he kind of stole Cal Peterson's spot, the young kid Cal Peterson, the Minnesota kid. So I mean, LA's gonna make the playoffs. This is a successful season for them because no one was really expecting too much from them because they're sort of in a rebuild. But yeah. I think they're gonna make. They're definitely making the playoffs, and we're gonna see what happens. They're only going up from here. I mean, they have picks. They got a lot of prospects in their pool. Rob Lake's a smart GM. I think
Absolutely.
he's doing a good job.
Yep. No doubt about it.
And you know what? Like we've talked about the free agency attraction. LA, a lot of guys will go there. Nice weather.
Yeah.
It is high taxes, but it's not as high as California. I mean, it's not as high as Canada.
Right.
So I mean, they're not gonna have trouble really attracting like a big ticket free agent.
Right. I think if we do see some dark spots for LA, I don't think it's gonna be for a long term. I don't think it's gonna be a long rebuild, quote unquote. I think they might take a year or two out of playoff contention after this season, and I think they'll be back. I think they're that middle of the pack squad where they might need to take a year or two off and they come back banging. Just similar to the New York Rangers.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Let's dabble into the Dallas Stars. MVP of their season. I gotta go with Jason Robertson. That kid is unreal. Speedy guy, unbelievable. For real.
Didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Hey, another guy under the radar. Might be my favorite thing to say is under the radar. For real.
The Dallas is a very weird team for me because they got I like Sagan, I like Ben.
Yeah,
I think
of course
they're starting to become past their prime, which is kind of sad. But
it is.
If they don't win this year or next year, they are getting older. They've had a lot of injuries too, which doesn't help obviously. I mean, the bright spot for them is Miro Heiskanen because he's such a good defenseman and he's so young. But I mean, Jake Ottinger is a good young goalie. I don't know if he's an elite young goalie. He's not like Shesterkin status, you know. But they're a tough team. They got some good veterans, Joe Pavelski, Radulov. Like they got these young guys. Like they got these older guys that are good. But like it's almost like if they shit the bed in the first round. I mean, how many more years are you gonna do that with the core you got? It's pretty old, right? You know, Klingberg might be leaving if they can't figure out his contract. He'll be out of there anyway. Seems like they can't seem to like really figure out a contract. Like they can't agree on terms, like years or money, whatever it is. But
I think Pavelski was the most. I don't want to say underrated. I just unexpected vet to do well. I mean, I didn't expect Pavelski to put up 78 points. You know.
Yeah.
It's just. Listen. I know Joe Pavelski that he's a great hockey player. I know it. We all know it. We've seen it with the Sharks. I just did not expect it. Older guy joining a new team. I did not expect 78 points. I did not. I was expecting at least 48. Yep. Honestly.
I know.
Honestly. I know that's kind of specific, 48, but I just didn't expect it.
True athlete.
Yeah. And it just goes to show, I mean, maybe he can fit in no matter where he goes.
Do you think they're gonna? Do you think they could surprise? They could upset someone in the first round.
It's tough, man. Who
are they playing in the first round?
Well, that's the thing. I was just gonna say, who are they playing? I don't know, man. If they play Minnesota or Colorado, no way. I don't see it.
I don't see them getting past Colorado.
See it. I really don't see it. Even Calgary. No. I don't fucking see it. There's no way. There's no way. But listen, playoffs are a new season. But if I had to bet, my money is on the favorites all day. You know, Calgary, Colorado, Minnesota. If they had to play them, absolutely,
100%.
Best of 7 series, 100%. You know, and this is no disrespect to Dallas or anybody. It's just being realistic at the end of the day. You know, we touched on Seguin. We touched on Robertson. We touched on Ben. I mean, listen. Rube Hintz, pretty good player. A lot more to show. A lot more to prove. A little inconsistent. I like him. But, you know, if who knows? Maybe in the playoffs he picks it up a notch and he leads his team. You don't know. And that's the beauty of playoff hockey, man. You 100%. Don't know until that day comes, until those series come. Yeah. Enough about the Stars, but
yeah, we'll see what they could do. I mean, they're interesting. They got a lot of vets. They got a handful of young. They don't excite me for some reason, but maybe they'll make me rethink things if they You know, it really, you know, if Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin really turn it up in the playoffs against whoever they play. Maybe they'll make me change my mind. But like you said, I don't see them getting past Colorado or Minnesota or St. Louis.
Or Calgary.
Honestly.
No, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to talk about the Nashville Predators. I know I traded you Duchesne after picking him up. You know?
Yeah.
In fantasy hockey.
I like Duchesne. I'm a Duchesne guy.
Yeah, I like Duchesne. I do. I think he's a great fit for the Nashville Predators.
They're kind of my dark horse, the Nashville Predators, honestly.
Yep.
I think, first of all, Roman Josi is unbelievable. He's going to score like
unbelievable season.
95 points as a defenseman, maybe more.
Unreal. Unreal.
You have Duchesne, obviously. Matthias Ekholm's an amazing defenseman. Matthias Ekholm's an amazing defenseman. Philip Forsberg. Yeah, it's they're my dark horse, Nashville. They got some depth. Philip Forsberg, Johansson, Duchesne. They're There, you know what? The thing about Nashville, UC Saros, he's gonna be the X factor. He's such a good goaltender that it's
Comes down to goaltending, Jack.
yeah, it does.
Like we said.
Yeah, 100%.
If these goalies can stand on their head, I mean, they really are the game changer. They are the X factor.
Chicago, Detroit too.
Speaking of game changers and X factors, I want to talk about Trevor Zegras and the Anaheim Ducks. What does Jack Farris think about that?
Trevor Zegras, I think the first thing they got to do is try to lock him into a long-term contract, just like they did with Jack Hughes in New Jersey. I think he's absolutely unbelievable. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
Anyone 16 to 60 that watches hockey knows how good Zegras is, how skilled he is. I don't think he's a flash in the pan. I think he's an elite player. Kind of like Patrick Kane style. Patrick Kane status almost. What interests me more about Anaheim, Jamie Drysdale, right-handed shot offensive defenseman. How good he's played. He doesn't get talked about quite as much. But I think he's going to be a player for them for sure.
They got a good core.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting things going on in Anaheim. One guy I always liked, Vinny Lettieri.
Yeah.
He was with the Ranger system for a bit.
Another
He's
guy.
kind of solid for them.
Another guy under the radar.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Lettieri.
I think their core there, Zegras, Milano, and Terry, and Drysdale, is a good core four, I would say.
Yeah. I see what Milano gets paid. I don't know. He's a little inconsistent.
He is.
I like him. He's skilled. I wonder what they do with Zegras. Do they bridge him? They give him a bridge contract, or they give him, they just hand him money. You know what I mean? Like Jack Hughes got $8 million, 8 years.
That's unreal.
But I think Zegras, I wouldn't be scared to give Zegras $8 million. I really wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
Especially when you got the cap space.
He's proved
that
it.
might pay off.
If
you could get him a little cheaper, that'd be good. But
I think Anaheim has proved himself. Let's dive into the Vegas Golden Knights real quick. Failure of a season, I would call it. No disrespect to those Vegas fans out there. They're probably all fucking wasted anyway. Chandler Stevenson. What do you think of him? I think he's under the radar. Under the radar.
Underrated, under the radar, whatever you want to say.
Big
solid
setup guy.
Centerman.
Yeah, big setup guy.
Two-way forward.
Yep.
Good at face-offs. Good defensively. Could play with the high-level players. He could play with Stone, Pacioretty. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Vegas is I think it's like how does the marketplace perceive them as a marketplace? I mean, I think free agents, based on how players have kind of been treated there. Marc-Andre Fleury, it's always like something. It's always like we're gonna trade this guy, get rid of this guy. They traded Nate Schmidt without him like waiving the no trade clause. The whole thing with Dadonov. It's always something going on.
Yeah, a little sneaky.
Yeah, the only smart thing they've done is get Eichel, and he's good. And I think next year he'll be even better because he'll have a full summer of recovery and training.
Right, and practicing and playing.
And he'll be healthy, but it's it is a failure of a season for them.
It is.
100%. They're gonna have to retool. I don't know what they do. They don't really have any cap space. Who do you trade?
Right.
They're gonna have to leave. They're gonna have to trade Riley Smith.
Yeah.
Or somebody.
I'd trade Riley Smith over Jonathan Marchessault any day.
Yeah, I would.
He's proven his tenure there.
Yeah,
Marchessault.
Leonard's he's injured now the whole season. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I mean, that kind of sucks for him. But yeah, I mean, something's gonna happen. They're gonna have to retool in Vegas. That's what else are they gonna do? They're gonna have to figure out their cap situation and have Eichel come back for a full year, recovered and trained, and see where it goes.
It's funny you bring up Jack Eichel there. It's kind of funny how the Buffalo Sabres finished the season strong by simply getting rid of Eichel And ever since they played against Eichel, I think that was earlier in March, I believe, they beat them. And ever since they beat Vegas and Eichel, they've been just on a tantrum, finishing and playing competitive hockey, and it's finally showing some bright spots in the Buffalo Sabres organization.
100%. I think part of that was Alex Tuck. He's from Syracuse.
Yeah.
Wanting to come to Buffalo and making that public. The fact that he wanted to be in Buffalo and was cool with being in Buffalo and embraced it was pretty huge. And I think a lot of people don't give enough credit to Tage Thompson.
Yeah. Another guy under the radar.
Well, you hear about in the media, they didn't get anything for Ryan O'Reilly. Well, Tage Thompson was part of that trade.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like 33 goals, and he's 24 years old.
And he's playing better.
He's playing
Ryan O'Reilly.
Damn
right now.
Damn good player, he looks like.
Right now. Yep.
They definitely got something for Ryan O'Reilly. If Tage Thompson keeps it up, I don't think he's a flash in the pan. I think it's things are gonna get better in Buffalo. I really do. I think they're a good marketplace. You know, big time diehard hockey fans there, and I think they got some nice pieces in place. Owen Power looks like a stud too. So
yeah, it does look good. You know who also looks good is Moritz Seider from Detroit Red Wings.
100%.
And I know that's your guy.
And
you put me on to him.
Yep. Right-handed shot defenseman. I call him the right-handed Victor Hedman.
I like that.
Moves the puck well. He's huge. He's good defensively. Skates well. There's nothing he can't do. He's probably going to be a Norris Trophy winner within the next couple of years.
I believe that.
Another smart pick by Steve Yzerman.
Yep.
So, Steve Yzerman scouting staff, I would never question them. Let's put it that way. But he's solid. He might win the Calder. I mean,
yeah.
He's not on a great team, and he's got a ton of assists. His plus-minus ratio's terrific. So
that core there, Raymond, Larkin, Bertuzzi, Seider. And then who you got coming up through the system? What's his name?
Simon Edmondson. The defenseman, left-handed shot.
Yep.
They got a few guys.
Bright future.
Forgot the guy's name. Boom or Bomb? He's from California. I forgot his first name. Detroit fans would know, but he's he looks like a stud too. I mean, I would trust Yzerman. He knows what he's doing. Raymond looks pretty damn good already. Larkin, Bertuzzi. I don't know what's going on with Philip Zadina, but
we have 3 teams left to talk about. I want to dive in to the Vancouver Canucks real quick. JT Miller, MVP of their team.
100%.
Runner-up, Quinn Hughes. 57 assists so far. Unbelievable. Young kid, great blue line.
Solid puck mover.
Great puck mover.
Mm-hmm. I think Pettersson had a disappointing year. Pastor had a pretty disappointing year overall.
Yeah. Pettersson, there was too many high hopes and expectations for him. I think he played okay. I think it was overhyped.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that failed to that expectation.
Bo Horvat. I mean, they got some good players, but there's something about I think big part of Vancouver was Demko. Could they really trust Demko? So he had some solid nights and he had some shitty nights.
Absolutely.
You know, besides Quinn Hughes, Tyler Myers, good nights, bad nights. He hasn't really been too consistent. But I think they got to shore up their blue line. They're one of those teams. They got to shore up their blue line and figure out if they could trust Demko. If Demko's their guy or not.
Yeah, that's their main goal.
And they got to really hope for another great season from Pettersson. Maybe this is just an off year, you know.
True. If he has a bounce back season, they might be in a different ranking in the standings there. I don't want to end it on Arizona, so I want to talk about Arizona right away.
Okay.
Sad to see Clayton Keller get hurt but
Yeah, he was
it's
having a good
almost
year too.
it's almost like all for what, you know.
I know.
They weren't making the playoffs. They weren't doing anything. Hate to see a guy suffer an injury like that, but
The thing with Arizona is I keep hearing the agents say that they don't really love the fact that they're going to be playing at a college campus.
yeah, that's insane.
Because that's kind of like it's a professional league. It's the
Yeah.
National Hockey League, and they're
No,
playing,
right.
the ownership's kind of screwed up.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. That's something we've never
You're
seen
not going to
before.
get like
We've never seen that.
The only thing that Arizona's got going for them is that it's a low tax state and it's nice weather. So you may actually have some free agents that are like, all right, fine, I'll go there, kind of like Phil Kessel. But I think it's going to be a while before they're competitive again.
Yeah. I like Keller.
Best thing that could happen for them is they draft first overall and they draft Shane Wright.
Yeah.
If that happens.
I like Keller. I like Schmaltz. I like Lawson Krause.
Yeah.
Aside that,
like
who's their goalie? You know, who's their blue line besides Chikrin? You know, they got
He'll probably be moved anyway.
Yeah, they got Goss's Spear, but he ain't Hedman. He ain't anybody like that.
Yeah.
I want to end on this note with the Columbus Blue Jackets real quick. One of my favorite players in the league, Patrick Laine. I would love for him to be in New York Islander. I think it would be a great fit. I mean, imagine.
I'd rather play in Long Island than Columbus.
Imagine him on the Rangers. You know what I mean? A guy like that.
Pure goal scorer.
Yeah.
I think his problem is, besides if he's not scoring goals, he's not doing much else.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I mean, he gets assists, but not as much as he gets goals.
So it's going to depend on what money. If he's smart, his agent's probably trying to just get as much money as he can from Columbus, because Columbus probably will overpay. Right. Because they have trouble attracting free agents too.
Yep.
So.
I think that I think it would be tough for him to leave the Blue Jackets, considering that they do have the cap to sign him. But I think he would be an RFA, so I think it would be hard for teams to get him this upcoming season.
I agree. Yeah.
So.
I think they got a lot of young guys in their pipeline. Kent Johnson, Sellinger.
Yeah. Kent Johnson is right, man.
Sellinger.
Cool.
So you got Werenski. He's running their blue line. I don't know. I think Columbus can turn it around. Columbus isn't a hot spot for free agents at all, but I think it's got to be better than Winnipeg or Ottawa or something like that. I mean, it's still the United States, you know. It's still like.
It's gotta be.
It's I don't know. I think Columbus will turn it around. John Davidson's running stuff there now. The GM seems pretty smart. I think they got to draft well. Draft some good American kids, you know, that want to be in Columbus. And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. That's really it. All right, that's all we have for the Jack Farris and Rick Adams show. That's it.
Jack Farris, Rick Adams. We're finishing up this podcast, wrapping it up. We know it wasn't perfect. We appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back next week when the playoff matchups come out. And we'll be a little more structured, a little more organized. Hang with us. It was our first week, so...
Yeah.
We're coming at you with the info. We're two ex-hockey players that have the we know what we're talking about, kind of. So we're waiting for it's all about the fans. So when the fans reach out, you tell us what we're doing wrong and right, and we'll listen to you. We'll try to anyway, as long as you're cool about it. Try to help us with a name too, maybe.
Yeah, we still don't have a name, so any feedback would be much appreciated.
For sure. From any and we're Canadians fans. We love Canada. We're just saying. We're just talking facts, but trust me, we still love you guys. Just don't take it personally. All our fans, Canada, Australia, friggin' New York, you name it, California.
That's right.
Yep. All right, Jack Farris, Rick Adams. We're out of here. See you guys next week.
See you next week.
Later.
Later.